All right, last week in what? That shit insanity America? Yeah. I don't know. We might have to come with a more advertiser-friendly name for this segment. But it's not necessarily a Trump's America thing, but we will talk a little bit about what's happened in this current administration.
Trump is related to at least one of the things that we're going to talk about.
But United Airlines fucking PR disaster. And last week we talked about like the Pepsi thing and just, YouTube and just, people fucking up. And this was huge. And it was all over Reddit. And then it was all over the news. And then it was all over Facebook and everything. And, basically they overbooked a flight, which I think is a practice that shouldn't even be allowed.
Right.
To sell things that don't exist. I know that mathematically and statistically, if you sell all the tickets to your flight, there's going to be one or two people that don't show up, but not every time. And this was one of those occasions. Now, it wasn't passengers that had paid for a ticket that wanted to get on this plane. They wanted employees. They wanted to make room for their own employees because they needed to be in a different airport to, go on whatever flight. So they asked the people to volunteer to give up their seat, and no one volunteered. And they offered a little bit of money, but not a whole lot. Not the max that you can offer somebody.
Right.
And so then they had like a computer or something pick random seat numbers, and they basically started trying to kick people off the plane. Mm-hmm. And one of those passengers was a doctor who had to get home and had to, be there for his patients. And here's the thing. If a doctor has all these appointments with all these clients and he misses it, I mean, that's money. That's people's lives, at stake. We don't know what kind of doctor he is, or at least I don't. We don't know what those patients were there to see. Maybe it was some kind of life-saving procedure. I don't know these things. I don't know the specifics about this person in general.
I think he's a surgeon.
But he wouldn't get off the plane. So they brought in the police and they forcibly removed him, broke his nose.
Yeah.
Literally dragged him out.
Yep.
Okay. And people caught it on video. There's more than one angle. And that's the thing. You got to be careful, especially if you're in law enforcement, because everybody has a fucking camera on them these days. And they dragged him out of the plane. Somehow he got back on and was like, I need to go home. And it's caused a PR disaster. And United has handled it in the worst possible way.
Oh, yeah.
Because at first, their CEO backed up the decision that was made by the people on the plane. And he was like, he was re-accommodated because he wouldn't, left voluntarily re-accommodated or whatever.
Re-accommodated.
There was nothing voluntary about what, that guy had to be put through.
Not even a little bit.
And here's the thing, I work in the customer service industry, okay? And the place where I work, I'm not going to say the name, but the place where I work has such a huge emphasis on customer service in their business model that it's like the most important thing above everything else. And it seems like you have these big companies like Comcast and United and just, that are just notorious for being just shit.
Mm-hmm.
Shit customer service. And then he goes on, the CEO, goes on to say that, hey, what we did was okay. And they were just following procedure or whatever. And their fucking stock the next day took a nosedive. We're talking like what? Like around $1 billion of valuation?
Probably at least, yeah.
And China, who they have a big, United has, flights to and from China, caused even bigger PR disaster over there. The doctor was of Asian descent. Mm-hmm. And so then you get a complete 180 from the CEO that says, that shouldn't have happened and all this stuff. But it's like too little too late, dude.
These are your company's policies. So
right. And
otherwise, this would not have happened.
Right. And I see people arguing in United's favor, being like, the profit margins for airlines are razor thin and, they have to overbook flights or they're not going to make any money and all this kind of stuff. But, fuck that. Fuck the airlines who think that, we can do whatever we want, especially in this like post 9/11, like the airlines and airport security, even though it were police officers that removed this from the plane. I mean, it's like they have such a fucking authority boner that they're beating everybody with.
Yeah.
Well, I'm airport security. I'll arrest you or whatever. It's just, it's sickening to me because you're not authority. We need to have, I think, first off, we need to end the practice of overbooking. You shouldn't be allowed to sell things that don't exist.
Yeah.
Okay? You should never put the priority of your employees over, or you should never prioritize your employees over your customers. Okay? Your customers should be the most important thing to you. Your employees should be the second most important thing to you.
Yep.
And then everything else falls behind.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You take care of customers, you take care of your employees. They'll take care of the customers for you.
Yeah.
So they need to end that practice. They need to prioritize customer service over anything else. Okay? But are we at this point where like United is just like too big to fail?
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, kind of fuck you, you're going to fly with us anyway because you might not have other choices? I mean, how many new airlines can even like pop up? How viable is that to even start one? Planes cost lots of money.
That is, yeah, they are very expensive.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've never flown on United. I've flown very rarely, and it was a small back and forth trip to Vegas on Allegiant.
Yeah.
Which, man, it's so cheap to fly to
Vegas.
It's ridiculous. But you know, it's just one of those, you know, PR disasters, and we hear them all the time. And it's just like, come the fuck on. Who is running your marketing department? Who's running your PR department? You know, what are you thinking when you allow things like this to happen? And then when you see that millions upon millions of people are like, this is fucked up, you don't immediately apologize.
Right.
But I'll tell you one thing, that doctor is probably going to get fucking rich off this shit.
Oh, yeah.
They're probably going to settle with him. I mean, I'm not sure if they're going to sue him, if he's going to sue them or not, but
you fucking better.
They're probably going to pay him to shut up or whatever.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how it goes. But, you know, a lot of the people that were defending United is like, hey, he agreed to those terms when he bought the ticket. You know, so screw him. He didn't comply with police officers' orders, so screw him. But, you know, fuck you. He's a customer.
Yeah.
You know, he paid for that ticket. And if that had happened to you, who's defending United, would you still be saying like, well, that's what I agreed to. I'm going to miss my daughter's birth or whatever.
I was about to say, that's
I'm going to miss my wedding, but
the people
I agreed to it.
The people that are defending United probably ain't got shit going on anyway.
And they probably haven't found themselves in a situation like that.
Of course not. And they likely never will.
Right.
This is kind of a 1 in a billion fucking thing that this would even happen.
Right.
But, yeah, it's egregious and it's disturbing, especially. However, I have seen a lot of good memes.
Yeah, and that's the best thing about these is the memes. You know, if it creates more memes, then more power.
There's a lot of professional wrestling memes that I keep seeing.
It's
but one of my favorites is this tweet from at Lance_Bradley. Pepsi says, "That was the biggest PR blunder of the week, year maybe." And then United, "Hold my beer."
Right.
And then, and this leads into our next one, Sean Spicer. Leroy Jenkins.
Oh my god. Yeah, Sean Spicer basically said that, you know, Hitler wouldn't have even stooped to the level of using chemical weapons on his people. Like, excuse me? Didn't he exactly do that?
He I believe used what kind of gas was it? But either way, it's a fucking chemical weapon to exterminate 3.5 million Jews.
I thought it was 6 million Jews.
Yeah, but the rest of them were like just straight up shot or burned or other ways.
Either way,
yeah,
a lot of people.
Lots of people.
Yeah.
Also, the concentration camps were Holocaust centers, as far as alternative facts go. Dude, and Sean, re-accommodation.
I would not like. It just blows my fucking mind. Every week, man, it's like, how low can we go? And we're like, well, we'll show you. We'll show you.
You gonna find out.
You know, speaking of PR disasters, Trump really needs to hire a new press secretary. Because Sean Spicer is not getting the job done, obviously. He says the stupidest shit. And he gets, like, visibly upset and angry and argumentative in these press conferences, to the likes of which I've never seen before. And it's just like, dude, how fucking dense are you? And man, I would hate to be, honestly, I'd hate to be Sean Spicer.
Yeah.
You know,
I
to
do
be
not
the mouthpiece for this fucked up administration.
Envy him his job, but fuck that guy.
Do you think at some point when it's all said and done and Trump is gone, whether he gets impeached or just, you know, serves out his term and hopefully he doesn't get reelected, do you think when it's all said and done, Sean Spicer is just holding on to write some kind of tell-all, here's my story kind of book? Because, you know, there's got to be some good shit in there if he does. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of just bombing
shit insanity. as we continue this segment.
We dropped the mother of all bombs.
Literally, that's what it's called,
right,
isn't it?
Moab, the largest bomb that's not a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
On Afghanistan. Yesterday?
I think it was yesterday.
Yeah. Just, hey, we're just going to bomb this shit.
Yeah.
It's got I think the blast radius is over a mile, is what I had read. But apparently they only dropped it on this cave system where ISIS is. So honestly, ISIS, something needs to be done about ISIS.
I suppose.
Okay. So if that does help quell that, then so be it. The only problem I have is, what kind of collateral damage is done from this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
How good is our government's intelligence as far as the location of these caves, and how far away is it from schools, neighborhoods and stuff like that?
Well, there was an Onion article, and the title of the Onion article was U.S. unveils new bomb capable of creating millions of new terrorists. Because ultimately that's all this is going to accomplish. We just dropped a huge, technically, I guess, non-nuclear device, but it's still absurdly huge and powerful, right in the middle of a country that we are technically no longer at war with, by the way.
Just boom, drop that fucking bomb.
Yeah.
Trump is not afraid, and it seems like as soon as Steve Bannon left the National Security Council is when the bomb started flying. Is that weird or not?
It is weird.
Because it was like the next day when we bombed Syria.
Yeah.
It's just...
now, he's super bomb happy.
Yeah.
Assad
says that he didn't do the chemical weapons strike.
Well, of course he does. Of course he's going to
say that. And apparently... planes have flown out of that airbase.
Yeah,
since
of course.
We've bombed
immediately. They flew out the day that we bombed that fucking base.
So, those 50 Tomahawk missiles didn't do their job, or they didn't
59,
hit the target.
23 hit, and did virtually no damage, apparently.
Yeah, so that's a huge waste of resources.
Yeah, that was what, $23 billion or $1 million?
Yeah, but apparently, Trump owns stock in the company that made those Tomahawk missiles.
What do you know?
And has actually made some money.
And has not divested himself from those investments? Yeah, what do you know?
And, everyone, a lot of people, I'll not say everybody, but a lot of people were praising his action in Syria, saying it made him look presidential or whatever. And it just seems like now he's like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to bomb my way to popularity.
Apparently.
Because here's the thing. Bush was wildly unpopular after 9/11. He still won re-election.
Mm-hmm.
Because wartime presidents almost always get reelected.
Yeah.
And is this what he's gearing up for? It's going to be a long 3 and some odd years.
Yeah.
We're only a third of the way through the first year.
Yeah.
Of Trump's presidency. And it's been just a complete shit show almost every single day.
Yeah.
And he's still under investigation.
Yeah.
So it just blows my mind, man.
And that's last week in batshit insanity.
Yeah, and that's going to do it for this episode of the Dork Age podcast. We'll see you next week for episode 36. What do you have to say about
all this batshit insanity?
The crazy stuff that happens in our world. Let us know in the comments below.
And in the meantime, make sure that you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, leave a comment, shoot us an email, dorkagepodcast@gmail.com. And again, join us next week for episode 36.